Here we go, guys. It's basically live. Obviously, we're going to talk about Abner Maris versus Leo Santa Cruz first on PBC. First of all, what do you guys think about this fight?
I think it's a really good fight actually. I would have I would have liked to maybe see it um I think at this point Mares, he hasn't really fought anyone since his loss to Johnny Gonzalez, but
Hmm.
I think that if he's anything like the Mares he was before, he's got a great chance only because I think Leo Santa Cruz hasn't really fought um, the caliber of opponent that Mares has. But, again, Santa Cruz is also undefeated. He's a lot bigger. He's very accurate. He's very active. I think of Santa Cruz as more of like a more skilled Margarito in a way. You
Yeah,
know,
and
I like that comparison.
he's
another
a
thing with Gonzalez, another thing with Maris as well, like he's coming off a knockout loss from Gonzalez, and like he was humiliated, like he was knocked out in the first round, and like you said, since then, I watched his fight with Reyes, and he didn't look great in that fight. He won by decision, but he looked tired in the fifth round. I think Reyes could have won that fight, to be honest with you. And yeah, I don't know if we're going to see the same Mares that beat De Leon and beat Agbeco and those guys. But Leo
you
Santa Cruz
know,
hasn't.
the thing about when he fought Agbeko, uh, that was such a foul-filled fight that you
Low
know,
blows, man.
and I don't, not, I don't even want to take any credit away from Mares. He fought hard. It was a close fight. It wasn't a decisive victory. So even in Mares's big fight with Agbeko, he didn't look great. And it's really not easy to look great against someone like Agbeko unless your name is Rigondeaux, you know? But I think that Mares, you know, I never really knew what to think about him, even when he was undefeated. He kind of reminded me a lot of Danny Garcia in a way, in the sense that he wasn't really great at anything. He wasn't super strong. He wasn't super fast. He wasn't a Mayweather type of boxer. But it's just he did everything good enough that when he put it all together, he was better than most people, even though he wasn't great at anything. So, he's in a way I like to think of a little bit of an overachiever in that sense. In that with his talents, he probably shouldn't be as good as he is, but with his hard work and his determination, it's brought him to that extra level that he may not have been at normally had he slacked a little.
Yeah, yeah. And Santa Cruz as well, man. Like how much credit do you guys give Santa Cruz for taking this fight? Because he's been criticized, for not fighting caliber fighters. Like being a puppet to Heyman, basically, like ducking Rigondeaux. So how much credit do you guys give him for fighting, a legit
I,
featherweight?
I give any fighter credit that is willing to step up. Yeah, it's been well overdue, but we got to give him credit where credit's due. I mean, this is a big fight. If he beats him, he's obviously going to rise to bigger things. He's going to become a lot more relevant than he already is. And this is gonna make a statement that he's not just fighting. He's not just winning against bums, but now he can win against a legit name, one of the
Exactly.
biggest names in that division.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this division, man, the featherweight division, because so many
Yeah,
knockouts.
everyone loves this
Like,
lighter weights.
yeah, man, like Gary Russell knocked out Johnny Gonzalez. Johnny Gonzalez knocked out Abner Maris, and Walters knocked out Donaire. Like it's like anyone can beat anybody in this division. Like there's no clear king of the division. Like you got Lomachenko who lost to Salido but beat Russell. Like and then Russell knocked out Gonzalez. Like I think it's going to be a great division. Yeah, I'd like to see some unification in the future.
Speaking of all these other big names, what do you guys think is next for the winner of this fight? What name do you think they could fight next and actually win against? Who do they have a chance against? Like we have Loma, right? We have Walters. Walters is fucking strong. He's a
I
knockout.
think I think that to speak about what you said both, I give honestly I give both fighters credit for taking the fight because as big as a challenge as it's going to be for Santa Cruz, it's also going to be a huge challenge for Mares. And they both, in the last couple of fights have been fighting really soft opposition. So, I think that it's a bigger credit that Mares is willing to take this fight because Mares is the older fighter. He's more experienced. He's got the bigger name, I would think, and that he's fought the bigger name people. So I think that if he wanted to, he could have avoided the Santa Cruz fight. I don't think he needed the Santa Cruz fight. The fact that he sought out a bigger, stronger, well, I don't know about stronger, but a bigger opponent that's younger and fresher and undefeated. I think it's a credit to both of them that they're taking this fight, especially since they both know they're both going to get hurt. Whoever wins this fight, they're going to get hurt. It's going to be, I wouldn't want to be either of them on that night.
This fight is the true definition of Mexican style.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And to say who, and when you were saying about who would be next, I think that when you speak about the division, if you're not talking about Walters, then he's about the top dog, I would think, in the division. And I think that,
but is he the most skilled, or is it because of his strength and the way that he comes overweight a lot? Like the last fight, I felt like he kind of cheated or took advantage of his weight, and that I felt like the other guy he was fighting, which beat him before in the amateurs, wasn't having that much effect with his power. And if they were on the same playing field, I feel like the other guy would have given him a lot better of a challenge and possibly even won again.
well, I think that I like to try to do comparisons for styles, and I think that in that sense, Nicholas Walters is sort of like the Paul Williams of the division, in the sense that he's a freak of nature for the division. He's huge. He's a big guy. He's a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he destroyed, and we're not talking about he just beat, but he destroyed some of the biggest names in the division that nobody, even if they were beating them, weren't looking good against. The fact that he looked amazing against these guys, I think that, I think anybody's going to have a tough night with Walters in that division. If Walters starts to move up, he may find trouble, but I don't think anybody's going to beat him easily. I think I would favor Walters to beat both Cruz and Mares.
Oh yeah, I love Walt.
How tall is Walters?
I don't remember. I think he may be somewhere 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in that range.
He was taller than Donaire. He was taller than Donaire. Like,
yeah, so he's got to be 5'10", 5'11", around there.
And he's
which is huge for the division.
And he's a strong puncher, man. He's a strong motherfucker, man. I'll pick him over anybody at 126 right now, even Lomachenko, man.
He's a little rough around the edges, he needs to tighten up his style a little, but I think that if he gets the right trainer, he's still a relatively young guy and he's new to the scene, he just broke out about maybe a year or two ago. So he's still got time to work up, but I think the problem I see with a lot of these guys is that they get into they're boxing their whole lives, they stay with their coach their whole life, and then they get that one big win, and all of a sudden they're a big name, and they start to realize their potential, and they keep fighting the way they've been fighting. I think at a certain point, these guys have to learn to leave their trainers, the trainers that took them up through the amateurs, and get with a real experienced trainer who can teach them some of the nuances of the game, teach them some of the finer points, because right now he's probably doing the same thing in the gym that he's been doing since he was 12 years old. And even though it's been working, at a certain point you get to a level where that's just not going to work anymore, where you need to learn different tricks, how to deal with different styles. And right now it seems to me like Walters goes out there, he's got a smart head, he tries to box, but it's really his power that's been making the difference in the fights. But at a certain point,
I see the same thing for guys like sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I said no, it's like the same situation with Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. Like, they both seem like they're plateauing right now with their fathers, and then I feel like they can do so much better. If they're making it at this point without rising, imagine what they can do when they get a new trainer.
And I would think you could even say the same thing about Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones just had amazing natural ability. Nobody, even if Roy Jones never learned how to box, he could still kick ass, because of just his athletic ability, But and I think that even with Floyd Mayweather, people talk about Floyd Mayweather Sr. and this and that. I don't think Floyd Mayweather Sr. is a great trainer. I think there's a lot of evidence that he isn't. He's never really trained or brought up any other good fighter other than Floyd Mayweather. And I think
Mm.
that again, with Floyd Mayweather is only as good as he is because he's a great athlete.
He
But
trains himself, doesn't he?
huh?
That's how good Floyd Mayweather is. Like he trains himself. Like, he doesn't really
Exactly.
need.
But imagine now how good he could have been with, let's say, someone like Virgil Hunter. A real legitimate trainer. Like look at what Cotto came to a point where he began trying to train himself with his friends, and he was plateauing, and he knew it in himself, and he found Freddie Roach, and it really, for better or worse, it brought a new life into his career, and he's looking sharp out there again. He's looking fresh, and sometimes that's what these guys need, just a change. Sometimes it can work bad. Like look at Amir Khan. He's changed trainers, who knows how many times, 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years, and he's only 27 years old or 28 years old. So sometimes it's not always right. But I think when you're doing good, at a certain point, you've got to realize that you're not growing. And I think you got to learn new styles. And I think a perfect case in point would be Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is a real strong guy, but he's a sloppy. He's sloppy when he fights.
There's something about him, isn't
Yeah. Another good one is another small guys, Nonita Donaire. Like he used to train with his father, but he didn't like it, so he went with Robert Garcia. And with Robert Garcia, he looked very confident. He looked happy with there, and like he had a massive 2012 won Fight of the Year. Then went back to his father, and he got knocked out, and that's when he started kind of thinking about retirement. And now he's fighting. He's supposed to be fighting Scott Quigg sometime this year. I don't know if he should go back to Robert Garcia because I think it's going to be a big fight, or if he stays with his father. I don't know if we're gonna see the old Nonita Donaire, to be honest. Yeah. So having a good trainer really.
Who another prime example? Look at James Kirkland. The only two
Yeah.
losses he's ever had have been without Ann Wolf. Every other time he's looked like a machine. He's looked like a little Mike Tyson.
Do you think
You
do you
know?
think do you think if he had Ann Wolf in his corner against Canelo, you reckon the result would have been a bit different?
it?
I don't know. I don't know because the thing about Ann Wolf is she's a great conditioner. Like if I wouldn't. If me personally, if I could make like a fantasy camp, I wouldn't have her as my head coach, but I would definitely have her as my physical fitness coach because
Mm.
that's the one thing she gets James Kirkland in. She gets him in shape to fight 12 hard rounds. When he hasn't been with her, in the Canelo fight, he looks slow, he looks sloppy, he looks sluggish. When he's with her, he's sharp, he's on point, he's in condition. So
Mm.
I think that there's no one in the better that prepares you mentally for a fight than Ann Wolf right now, mentally and physically. But as far as teaching him how to box, he needs a new trainer that's actually going to teach him how to box because that man can't throw a jab to save his life.
Yeah, he looked tired, man. Like he got knocked out in the third round, didn't he?
Yeah, the third round, and he was hurt. He was putting some pressure on Canelo. He hurt Canelo a couple of times, and I think that James Kirkland would be a tough fight for anybody in the division. It wouldn't be an easy fight. He would hurt you until you knock him out. Like look what he did to Glenn. Honestly, in the last couple of years, one of the most brutal beatdowns I've seen was when he would fought Glenn Tapia. That was just I don't know if you guys saw that fight, but if you ever want to see a back alley mugging, that was about as brutal as they come in boxing. And honestly, I'm sure you guys know the story. Maybe, and I think it was 85, 84, 85, something like that, when Larry Holmes was fighting. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was fighting this guy, and Howard Cosell, the famous announcer that used to call all of Ali's fights. The fight was so bloody that after that fight, Howard Cosell swore to never announce another boxing match, and he never did. he never called another fight because that fight was just so bloody for him that it turned him off of the sport. And when I was
Wow.
watching James Kirkland fight Glenn Tapia, I got to feel the same feeling, and that I was like, somebody stop it, save this kid. Like, he's just getting beat up, and that's a scary feeling for any kind of fighter. And I for that fight felt a little turned off to the sport because it just no one wants to see somebody get beat up that bad.
Yeah, definitely not. That's why I have a lot. That's why sometimes I don't see how people can criticize Mayweather so hard to the point where like they just discredit his style. Like they don't understand why he's doing it that way too. He wants to keep his health, and I honestly don't blame him for that. Why not? Why not become a millionaire on top of millions on top of millions?
Yeah,
Like what's the point of making all these millions if you're just gonna leave and be retarded? Simple.
Oh,
Yeah.
good point. You look at James
If you
Toney, man.
can't
Like,
spend
it's
your
like,
money and have fun with it, what's the point?
yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Because once
You
he
can't take
retires,
your kids out and have fun, what's the point?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, a
boxing
lot of
fans will
these
move
guys.
on to the next
But
superstar.
guy, let me ask you a question. The diamond, these Santa Cruz and Mars, they're fighting for the diamond belt. Like that belt. What do you guys think about that? I mean, to my knowledge, that belt just is pretty much a trophy.
It's
Uh,
just a double.
I heard in another video, I think it was Anthony from Thunderdome, saying something about that. The diamond belt was supposed to be more important than a world title belt, but that
It
fell
doesn't.
like
It doesn't make sense because the WBC champion is Gary Russell, isn't he? Like, because Johnny Gonzalez knocked out Maris for the WBC, then Russell knocked out Gonzalez for the WBC. So it should
Well,
be Russell. I don't
actually,
get the.
if you guys look back at the history of that belt was actually created in 2009 for the Manny Pacquiao Miguel Cotto fight
Yeah,
as a trophy because at that time I don't think either of them had the WC belt, but the WBC wanted to recognize the fight, so they
that's it.
created that belt as a trophy to just collect sanctioning fees off of
Yeah.
the fight.
Because Cotto had the WBO at the time when he defended it against Claudy, in which people thought Claudy won the fight. But yeah, they just wanted more money, man. More money, more
thanks to
fucking.
Exactly.
killing
And
the
that's
sport.
exactly
With
why
all these belts, all
Mayweather.
these sanctioning bodies, with 4 different belts, like man,
It's
I
hard
think
to follow, isn't it? Like,
there's
I
no
don't,
real champion anymore.
I don't mind as long as we get unification bouts, but it's rare that we get unification.
Exactly. Prayer, people duck.
Yeah,
Yeah, this,
and it's also a lot of these champions wouldn't want to fight other champions because they don't want the other belt because they got to pay a ridiculous amount of money to hold on to that belt. Look at what Floyd Mayweather just did. Floyd Mayweather just pretty much gave up his belts because he didn't want to pay them anymore. It's
200
one.
grand. Come on.
Even if
No.
you're paying 10%, think about it. Even if you're paying 10% of 300 million is a lot of fucking money.
So,
Like.
so can I? So is it
From
is
what
it?
I heard, I'm sorry, hold on. From what
Yeah.
I heard, I was just watching. Once again, I was watching Anthony's video, and he was talking about that. He was touching on the whole belt situation with Mayweather, and he said, Mayweather, to the casual fan, he put that out there that yeah, it was because of the sanctioning fees. But the press release, the press release by what was it, WBO belt? They said that
Yeah.
he had an option to either keep their belt or keep the 154 belt. You can't have 2 belts in 2 different divisions, or a belt. Yeah, you can't have a belt in 2 different divisions.
Well,
So
another thing.
he had to make a choice, and he chose the belt. He chose the welterweight.
You can keep belts in 2 different divisions. I think the real truth, if it wasn't about the money, then the only reason I could see that he would relinquish the belts would be so that he wouldn't have to fight the mandatory challengers. Because if you have a belt, you're gonna have to fight a
You can't keep
mandatory.
belts in 2 different divisions.
I heard that was
The last
illegal.
guy who did it was
Nick Armstrong.
I forgot.
Joe
And,
Calzaghe held the super middleweight and the light heavyweight title simultaneously.
But he's the last guy who did it, and then they enforced the rules from there.
Well, Mayweather's been doing it. Mayweather was the welterweight
That's
and the
that's
junior
what's
middleweight.
fucked up. Like
But that's
because
what we're
they're
saying. That
not supposed to
Mayweather
do
is
it.
like the only one who's getting away with this.
But I think he deserves the 154 belt though because he beat Canelo, and I don't see anything wrong with it, to be honest.
No, I mean if you're not
He
fighting
deserves
in the
all the
division,
belts, but we're just talking about the rules, though. You know, like yeah, he deserves it. He won it, but there are rules in place that says you can't hold two different belts in different divisions.
Well,
I mean,
and
if you actually defended it, then you actually I mean, yeah, if you actually defended the belt against a mandatory or someone that's from that weight class, you should be able to keep it for longer than 6 months. But Floyd has been keeping the belt for like how long? A
He's
year,
doing exactly
two
what made
years?
them ban it in the first place, which is
Yeah.
he's holding the belt hostage. Nobody can fight for it because he's not fighting nobody in that division. That's the whole reason they made the rule. And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why this is why. But anyways, that's what I'm saying is that the sanctioning fee wasn't the real reason why he gave up the belt. It was the choice that the WBO was trying to, the rules that the WBO was trying to enforce.
that's speaking of the former junior middleweights, mostly Mayorga guys. How
Fuck.
excited are you?
I'm not gonna watch that shit fight. They're both fat.
Tell you guys though, Mosley has been doing a good job promoting this fight. You know, I heard he spent over $1 million doing for this event. He started his own promotional company, GoBucks Promotions. I think he weighed in at 159 and Mayorga weighed in at 165. So it's like super middleweight and middleweight almost.
I feel like he should work with Oscar, but oh well.
Yeah, that's the thing. He used to be with Golden Boy, but around 2011 he wanted to fight Pacquiao, but Golden Boy wouldn't let him.
Was
Golden
it?
Boy
Yeah.
wouldn't let. Yeah,
That's a
so
fucking good idea to not let him do that. He should stay with
exactly,
Golden Boy.
exactly, it was a pay-per-view fight. So I think he left Golden Boy. Then Golden Boy cut his share of something. Then yeah, he started his own Sugar Shane Promotions. Then I think now he's like rebelling for some reason. Like he's been
Well,
calling out. He's been calling out the Al Haymans, the Golden Boys, the Bob Arums. Like he basically just wants to make it fair for other boxers. I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't know
yeah,
though
but you
if
know what? They honestly, all these promoters, they all get into it saying the same thing.
Yeah,
You
but they
know,
can't
De La
fight
Hoya said the
themselves.
same thing, that he was creating a company built by fighters for fighters. You know, even Mike Tyson, you know, when he just came into promoting, his thing was he wanted to make sure nobody gets ripped off. But in the end of the day, it's a business, and if the business isn't making money, it doesn't make sense.
that's
So
it.
it's, you
Right.
know, that's what it
Yeah,
comes down to at the end of the day. You know, you're not, if you're in boxing to make great fights and money is second, you're not gonna last long. You're just gonna go out of business. You know, it takes money to make money.
Yeah, that's right, man.
yeah.
And I heard as well, the Mostly fight needs at least 50,000 pay-per-view buys to break even, and I don't think they'll get it because same night, same time as Maris, Santa
Yeah,
Cruz on
there's no way they shouldn't have done that shit. They should maybe put it in like fuck.
undercut. I think they should just undercut it somewhere.
And you
What?
know they need more time, and you know they need more time. They can't even make the fucking catch weight.
Yeah. They
You
go.
know, the fact that they're challenging Leo Santa Cruz and Mars, which is on free TV, or I don't want to say that because Anthony will kill us, but cheaper TV, non-premium TV.
Non-premium, yeah.
So they're challenging that, and at the same time they're charging you for pay-per-view. On top of that, they're charging you pay-per-view for two
Yeah.
old washed-up fighters. Like, who's gonna choose that over a free fight? You know
Well,
what I mean?
hey, let me tell you this. If it's anything like their first fight, it's gonna be a fun fight. It's completely irrelevant in boxing terms. Whoever wins is not gonna matter. Whoever loses is really not gonna matter. Their
Yeah.
careers are about as good or bad as it'll ever get. But so it's really just a fun fight. I think it's a good buy fight for all the fans. You know, it's a good buy fight for both of them. You know, I don't think either of them will ever fight again after this unless they're offered
But
the
that's just
same amount of
it.
cash.
Mosley's talking about fighting bigger names. I think
Yeah,
he,
but
I think in his
He-
mind, he's gonna become relevant enough to fight a bigger name after this.
absolutely not. There's just no way. Who would first of all, if he's making 159, that means he's looking at fights in either junior middleweight or middleweight. And
Yeah.
realistically, there's not a single person in either of those divisions that he could beat in the top
Triple
10.
B versus Mosley.
No, I'd love to see him
Oh
again.
shit!
I'd love to see him against Gabe Rosado though. 160.
That would
Oh,
even at this point, honestly, at this point, I would give it to Rosado.
Yeah,
I think
Rosado is good.
I think
yeah.
Rosado would be too physical for. I just don't think that if you watch in his fight with in Mosley's fight with Canelo, I think it was, he was talking about quitting in his corner. Against Mundane, he got stopped. He's not performing well. He hasn't been for the last couple of years. His last good performance was against Mayorga, I believe. So I
No,
think that's why he's.
Margarito.
Did he fight Mark? Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
But
Margarito
then
was after.
Margarito, he just got caught with the reps and shit, and then he fucks with his head.
Whoa,
So
whoa. Speaking of Margarita, guys, he's coming back. What do you guys think about that?
He's fighting. He's fighting. Yeah, he's fighting. I think it's in October or something.
yeah,
But
I heard.
I think that's another irrelevant fight because the man is damaged goods. His eyes. These fighters, they get these injuries and then they talk nonsense about coming back. And when you have something like a detached retina, you just don't get better from that. You just don't.
What happened to his eye? What happened to his orbital bone? Like, did he break his eye or?
Yeah,
I
he
had
cracked his.
I had an orbital bone fracture. I actually had my medial, orbital, and lateral bone fractured, and it's just not something that I'm better today, obviously, but my eyesight is still off, and that's just not something that gets corrected. It just once like for instance, these fighters, they all want to say they're gonna come back and they're gonna be better. Like even Paul Williams. When Paul Williams had that motorcycle, God bless Paul Williams. I love the man.
Yeah,
But after he had that accident, he was talking about how
there's
he'll be
no way.
back in the ring within a year or two. And that man is never, sad to say, he may never walk again. But he still believes that he's probably going to come back. And it's, these fighters, they think they're superheroes. But I think that Margarito, he's only doing it for the money at this point. He brings nothing to the table. He's not. I don't see him performing well. He may beat some C-level fighters, but there's no way he beats anybody in the top 10 today.
Yeah. I heard as well, like during the Cotto Margarita 2, that the reason they stopped the fight entering the 12th round is because the commission would never let Margarita win the fight, because I thought Margarita was on his way to win the fight to actually knock out Cotto in the 12th round.
Really?
But yeah, he was.
I
I
don't
thought he
know.
was.
I think that there was no, for the man's health. I think it's best that he lost that fight. Even if he could have won it, I think it's best that he lost. That they
Yeah.
stopped it when they did. He didn't need any more punches to the face that night.
So why?
Sometimes these officials, they put them. They're there to protect the fighter from themselves because I'm sure Margarito would have went out. Margarito would have went out 30 rounds if he had to. That's the type of guy he is. But that's why their corner is there and the officials are there to protect the fighters from themselves. Because at a certain point, it's just not worth it. It's just not. Even if you took that 12th round and you won that fight, it could have just taken one more punch and the man could have been blinded for life.
Oh yeah.
It's not worth the damage. And if you look at
I
that
have.
fight, you'll just look at his face. He was done, man.
Yeah.
That's alright.
I
Puerto
have
Ricans.
I have two criticism for Robert Garcia. One is that he doesn't know when to stop fights, especially in the Pac Margarito. And another one is that all his fighters has uh, a lot of problems making weight.
That's a good
But
point.
yeah, but
That's a
he's
good
really
point
good
about the
trainer
weight.
though.
I don't think you're right. I think you're right. I think he's not doing a great job of getting his fighters in condition. The funny thing is though that even though they're not making weight, his fighters fight in high volume. They
Yeah.
throw a lot of punches. They got a lot of stamina. They're just a little chubby. But that's nothing wrong with that. But let me ask you guys something. You guys seem to be pretty astute boxing fans. What do you guys think about Vladimir Klitschko?
I think he's good. One of the
I,
he's the greatest of this era. Yeah, greatest
yeah,
heavyweight.
I think he's a heavyweight great. I think he's a top 10 heavyweight. I mean,
What?
he's been on. Hang on, he's going to be on his 28th heavyweight championship fight when he fights Fury. He's 25-2. Only Joe Louis is 26-1.
It's
Um,
a pity that the era this era's
uh, but,
heavyweight
but
sucks.
but Joe Louis fought in a weak era as well. Joe
Did
Louis.
he?
Yeah, he did.
I think that
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis fought in a much weaker. Actually, well, he did fight. He did fight Ezra Charles and stuff. But you know what?
Yeah.
Those guys were. It was a different time. Those guys were smaller. They had different style of fighting. Whether it was better or not, it was just different. So it's hard to compare the two. But Joe Louis
Plus,
wasn't fighting no killers. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Plus, Klitschko is a strong puncher as well. I think he's very underrated in this era. Like, people don't talk about him much
Cause
because
it's not American.
Yeah, exactly. And even Tyson said before that Vladimir Klitschko would be difficult to beat in any era. He's
And
6'8".
You know
6'7".
what irks me? What irks me about when people speak about Vladimir, they say he's a boring fighter, and I just find it incredibly hard to believe that a man who knocks everybody out is boring. He literally knocks
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
His knockout ratio is so impressive for the amount of fights he's had. It's just like, if you just looked at his record, you would think the guy's a Mike Tyson. But then you see him and he fights like it's hard to even compare his style.
Smart guy.
Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis would be, I guess, the best comparison in his style of fighting, since they did share a trainer and they are both very tall men with long jabs.
Yeah, plus looking at his record as well, I don't have the numbers with me, but I think he's defended his title 18 or 19 times. I think, but he's second to Joe Louis, and he's been on 27 title fights next to tied with Joe Louis, and he's about to break that record. I think Joe Louis never fought an undefeated fighter during his reign, and Vladimir has fought like 8 or 9, something like that.
But then at that time, it was rare for fighters to be undefeated. You all have to fight the best. You don't pad your resume all that much at that era, because when you look
Yeah, but-
when you look into his opponents, you can actually see that most of his opponents fought each other.
Still, I think same in this era though, in the heavyweight division. I think Vlad has fought all the contenders out there, all the
Yeah,
mandatories.
definitely. I can't disagree on that.
Yeah, I think he's one of the greats, to be honest with you. What do you think?
Deontay Wilder is
I
a
think-
fucking cherry picker. I swear, I'm so sick of him right now.
Well, hey, listen to this.
Don't hate, man.
When Vladimir sparred with Deontay Wilder, he said that Deontay Wilder was the fastest not just the fastest heavyweight, but the fastest fighter he'd ever been in the ring with. So
Oh,
I
wow.
think that, and for Vladimir Klitschko to throw praise on someone, that's not a nobody you're getting praise from. Vladimir's fought his share
No,
of
definitely.
fights.
I think he did good against Steven. But I want him to fight more people like Steven, not going back to rank 30 guys. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, make a good point though.
Yeah, but he's only had 8 amateur fights. You get a lot of people
He's
want
a bronze
these fighters-
Olympian.
Yeah, but when you think about the competition, the amateur division, the amateur heavyweight division especially, is incredibly weak in America. Incredibly weak. So, just because you say he was an Olympian, yes, that's true, but he was an American Olympian. So that's not a huge compliment there,
But then once you're a champion, you're not supposed to have soft opposition anymore. Especially
Who's he fighting next?
I don't even know his name. I know he's rank 32.
He's fighting a guy. He's fighting a guy that's I think his record is like 34-2. He's not a bad fighter. He fought Eric Turpan, who just knocked out David Price. he's not a bad fighter. But again, the heavyweight division is so weak that you can't really say anybody's a cherry picker because there's only cherries in the division. So it's kind of like
there's fighters like right now Tyson Fury is out the window, but he can fight Chisora or something.
no, I wouldn't want to see him. Chisora to me
There's
is
Povetkin,
a barroom brawl.
Pulev, there's Pulev, Povetkin.
He is gonna fight Povetkin. He's slated to fight Povetkin early next year.
What
I
about?
hope so. I really hope so.
Oh, what do you guys think of Anthony Joshua, the Englishman?
I think he's good, but I'm not sold on him yet.
I've seen him fight at one time, and damn, that dude has some power.
Yeah, but
He's built like a tank.
talking about future of the division, man. I'm going with my Asian brother, Tyson Dong. I don't know if you guys seen him.
Yeah,
It's
like-
I
What,
saw
the Chinese
Taishan
guy?
Dong.
The
Yeah.
Chinese guy?
I saw Taishan Dong before he even began his pro career. I remember seeing a video on him, and they were talking about him, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a joke. And then I saw him fight, and the man had some power. He can punch.
He's really slow. He's really slow.
But he didn't have an amateur background, though, did he? He was like a
No.
kickboxer before.
I
The
think
thing
that
is, yeah, he's really slow. I think he's in the gym too much.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I think the heavyweight division is starting to look pretty good. It's been weak for a long time, but now you've got Deontay Wilder, you've got
Joshua.
the Huey and Tyson Fury, even though they're not there. We'll see what's gonna happen with that. But then you've got Dylan White, you've got Eric Turpan, now you've got Anthony Joshua, you've got your boy, what's his name, the Dong guy.
Tyson.
Taishan Dong, you've got Lucas Brown, there's
Yeah.
some undefeated guys out there right now that they just need to start fighting each other. I want to see a heavy. You know how they had the Super 6 middleweight tournament a couple years ago? They should do that with the heavyweights. Let's see who's really the next guy for Klitschko.
Oh,
They should
definitely.
do it with all the divisions, in my opinion.
Oh,
I would
definitely.
love to see a Super 6 with the welterweights.
Let me call Al Heyman and see if he's up for it.
Yeah.
Thank my Lord and Savior Al Heyman.
Speaking of Al Heyman, what do you, one of his fighters, Keith Thurman, me and Ryan were talking about. Is he ducking Sean Porter?
I hope not.
From what we've heard, Sean Porter's camp has made offers to Keith Thurman, but they've had no response in return.
He
You
better
guys-
respond.
Do you guys
Give
think
him so much credit.
maybe Al Heyman's holding him back for something bigger? They have a bigger plan, or does he want to fight somebody else? That he has somebody better in mind, but who? Who else is a realistic opponent at this point?
Khan, I think Khan is a good opponent.
But
Yeah,
Khan's going after Pacquiao and Brooke, right?
Well, I don't
And-
think Khan is going after Brooke. I think Brooke is going after Khan.
Well, it was
Yeah.
like that for a while, but I think now he's realizing that Mayweather fight, which he's been obsessed over, is not going to happen. So now he's
Never.
weighing options, his other big money fights, which would be first Pacquiao, second Brooke.
I think that Keith Thurman, I think in his last fight with Collazo, I think that there was a chink in his armor there. And I think that, he's been real loud in the past. He's been real loud about how he wants to do this, he wants to fight this guy. And for the first time after that Collazo fight, he's been real quiet, Thurman. I haven't really heard much coming out of his mouth after that. I think maybe he got humbled after that fight. Maybe he stopped believing in this aura of invincibility that he had about himself. And I think maybe that's why they're taking their time with the Porter fight, because they're not sure. Maybe they're thinking they gotta rebuild his confidence there.
Yeah, but he can't fight another cherry pick, so to say. He can't fight another C plus, B minus guy. He has to fight a good, solid competitor, a good top name at this point. There's no pad in his record at this point. He has to prove that he's one time.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a better 2016 for the Al Heyman welterweights because they got Keith Thurman, Garcia, Khan, Errol Spence. I think we're gonna see like a rivalry going on. With
If I'm
those.
Keith Thurman, I'd rather fight Broner over Porter.
But Broner's
Oh yeah.
tied up. Broner's tied up already, so that's not a possible
With
fight.
with Alec Verdiev, but maybe you go for the winner of that fight.
Yeah, but
If I'm Thurman, I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush for Porter right now because that's a dangerous fight, and Porter's not that well known outside of the hardcore boxing fans. So it's a lot of risk for not that much reward. I think you're better off fighting a safer fighter like Broner. It'll be a slow-paced fight. He can outwork Broner. Broner's small. And there's
And
a
I
lot of money
think,
in that fight. I'd go for Broner.
do you guys also think that Kell Brook is a bit overrated? Because yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he
just
beat
one
Porter,
fight.
but he didn't blow him out. But after Porter, he hasn't really fought anybody since.
And he never
But
fought
people been,
anybody before.
there you
Brook
go.
actually had a negative record, if I'm not wrong. He has like
go
his
ahead.
total opponents loss is like 100 over.
Mm.
Kell
Yeah,
Brook is
Yeah,
Kell Brook is the thing about him, he's a real muscular kind of guy. So he's got natural body strength, but I think that works against him. I think like even with Anthony Joshua, they're very muscular guys that muscle it translates to physical strength, but it doesn't really do much for your punching power. For your punching
Tim
power, you need
Bradley.
a good snap. Yeah, so exactly. Tim Bradley too, another perfect example. So I think that Kell Brook, I think all he really has is power. He's a good technical boxer. He's got some good punch, but he's not very fast. His defense isn't great. I think that I think he's another fighter where he can do everything pretty good, but nothing really great. And I think that once he gets matched against somebody who has better physical tools, he's gonna lose.
So after Mayweather and Pacquiao leave the sport, who do you think is the next top welterweights? The next superstar?
That'll be
welterweight.
determined. That'll be
Anderson.
determined when Porter and Thurman fight each other.
Yeah, because
Think
Bradley's on his
Cena?
way out now, isn't he? Bradley's like 32 or 33.
Bradley's out. Bradley's out. I think it would come down to either if once Crawford's in the mix, it's going to be either Crawford, Thurman, or Porter.
That's my dude.
I think he put Spence in there as well.
Listen, I got Crawford over anybody. That man
it's
can
too
be
soon.
raw. He
It's
can
too
fight
soon for
southpaw. He
Spence.
can fight orthodox. He can box you. He can slug you, man. And that guy's got heart. That guy is
I'm just worried about Crawford because when I first saw Devon Alexander fight Juan Urango a couple years ago, the way he executed Juan Urango, he outboxed his brains out, and he just stopped him with such finesse. It was beautiful. It was one of the best boxing I'd ever seen. And I remember thinking, this man is amazing. He's going to destroy everyone. He's going to destroy Mayweather. And then all of a sudden, he became real average. And I'm just kind of worried about that happening with Crawford. I'm a little hesitant on it because
Well, why do you think Devin became average?
I think that what happened was that I think he lost a little bit of his aggression. He wasn't trying to knock guys out anymore. He sort of was trying to just survive. Not survive so much, but just he started trying to run more. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And I think the biggest challenge came when he fought Bradley, and he realized that Bradley was just as fast. He couldn't really outbox him, and he was getting roughed up. And I think that he lost his confidence there. And I'm worried that the same might happen with Crawford. He was fighting a little guy in Gamboa, who in theory Crawford should have been able to destroy, and Gamboa was giving him hell for a couple of rounds.
Yeah, he was putting up a good fight.
But Gamboa again is a great fighter. It's just that he was fighting another great fighter who was much bigger. And usually, when a great fighter fights another bigger, greater fighter, the bigger guy will usually win that. And it didn't look like a clear win for the first couple of rounds. It looked rough. I didn't know if Crawford was gonna make it out of there. He got hurt a couple times.
Has Gamboa fought since then?
Yeah, he fought one. He fought once.
Has he?
Nobody.
Did he win?
That's another thing about promoters too. Is think about it like how we were saying before about promoters always want to look out and try to make the best. We want them to make the best fights, But what they're really there to do is build a career for their fighter and make as much money as possible. That's the theory behind it. You
Yep.
know, but look at Gamboa. Gamboa is a prime example of a promoter trying to do good for the fans and putting him in tough fights, and it didn't work out for him. You know, 50 Cent, he wanted to make good fights, and he's tried to make good fights with his fighters, and his fighters keep losing. And he's overmatching them. He's not. That's a perfect example of not having a good matchmaker in your company. Somebody who's just taking risk like that. That those risks aren't always warranted. And by putting Gamboa in there with someone like Crawford, who had no name, who was dangerous, there was no money in the fight. You basically just got your guy slaughtered for no reason.
Yeah,
And,
I would have loved to see Gamboa versus Mikey Garcia during those times.
I
But I
would
think
have liked to
I
see
think
Juan
Gamboa
Manuel
will beat
Lopez.
Garcia.
was that?
Juan Manuel Lopez and Gamboa, when they were both undefeated, would have been a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's next with Gamboa, man. Like, his promoter is bankrupt at the moment, 50 Cent,
Yeah,
he's out of
I
business.
I
So,
think Gamboa is going to be another one of those sad stories like Joan Guzman. Joan Guzman a couple years ago was a beast. Very powerful,
Very
super
fast.
fast, super
Yeah.
skilled. He had every tool to be a great fighter, but
I
he
think he
got
did like
lazy. Huh?
quadruple jabs or something.
Yeah, he was amazing. Joan Guzman was an amazing fighter, and he just, he just stopped fighting, and everyone forgot about him, and then he lost, and then it was over for his career. And I think that Gamboa's been really inactive. The fact that he's been a pro for so many years and only has 20 something fights is it's ridiculous. You should have been much more active than that at this point in your career. And he's
what is it
already
about?
old. He's already in
What
his
is it?
40s.
Yeah, what is it about Cuban fighters that they don't seem to have a big fan base? Like even Rigondeaux,
They
he's
don't
one of the
stop.
best fighters, but Top Rank hasn't been putting him on main events. They
Well, I
can't.
think it's because professional boxing was illegal in Cuba for many many years. So,
Yeah,
with a lot of other fighters, they use their nationality as a tool for promoting. Like look at the Cotto Canelo fight. It's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. When you try to do a fight like that with a Cuban fighter, it's not really going to be that big because the Cubans can't really support their fighter because in Cuba that's not allowed. You can't even I don't even think you can televise it over there. So
right. Wow,
so
that's wow.
it's who's gonna watch him unless there's Cubans here that are supporting him, and again there probably are a lot in Florida, I would assume, but there like it's just that his fan he's not exposed to his people as much as other ethnicities are. Puerto
Yeah.
Ricans, they live and breathe boxing. Same thing with Mexicans. The Cubans, they love boxing too, but it's just illegal in Cuba. You can only be an amateur in
That's
Cuba.
crazy.
Yeah, I heard they didn't have their first professional since 2000, around 2000. First
Well,
professional
Joel Casamayor was their guy. Yeah, he was, and Joel Casamayor was another great fighter too, but he got outmatched by some better guys. His fight with Marquez, that was one hell of a fight. I love that fight. Seeing that knockout made me happy, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Marquez, Mark. Some of when I think of boxing, if I think of the perfect fighter, I honestly like to think of Marquez, man. That's a textbook fighter. If you look in a boxing book and you want to know how to throw a jab, how to throw a right hand, how to throw an uppercut, just look at a Marquez fight. That's textbook fighting.
Speaking of which, mate, so wondering, how did you score the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight? Because your brother had it for Pacquiao.
Yeah, I know he had it for Pacquiao.
He's been bragging about it, mate.
Yeah, I could see how you could. I personally, I saw that you guys tagged me in that, and I was trying to look over my notes because I did score the fight live, and I was writing notes in each round. That's how I score my fights. So I don't know where I put the paperwork, but I think I had it somewhere around 7-5, 8-3, I mean 8-4, something like that for Mayweather. You know, I wouldn't be, you know, there were a lot of rounds that could have gone the other way, and if they had, then definitely it could have been Pacquiao. But from my observation, I really believe that neither did enough to really concisively beat the other. But I think Mayweather was just a little more effective. Pacquiao was definitely the aggressor, you know, but I just think that if I asked who was fighting whose fight, Pacquiao was fighting Mayweather's fight.
Yeah, that's
Mayweather
why.
was fighting Mayweather's fight, and
I
because
think
of
that's
that, I give it to Mayweather.
yeah, I think that's the reason why I scored it for Mayweather as well. I had it 8-4 for Floyd because I think they were fighting in the middle of the ring and in Floyd's pace, and you know,
Exactly. Like if you asked each fighter, you know, like what do you want to do right now? I think, you know, 8 out of 10 times in that fight, Mayweather was doing exactly what he wanted to do, which is
yeah,
not fight. He
yeah,
didn't want to fight. He didn't want to get hurt. He didn't want to take chances, and that's exactly what he did.
and
Pacquiao did want to get Mayweather hurt. He did
yeah,
want to take chances, but he couldn't. So I
yeah.
think in that sense, Pacquiao failed his mission. Mayweather did what he had to do.
Because Pacquiao wanted to get inside Floyd and like get him on the ropes and like unleash combinations, but he wasn't able to land those
But you
combinations.
can't say. I mean, I heard Anthony. He brought up this point. You can't say that. Oh, you know he fight like that. Or you know he fights like that. It doesn't justify him like running. I
But
mean, he
that's
didn't run all
like
that much.
to me, it's like, of course, it's gonna be hard to fight somebody that's running. You know, like obviously he's not running for his life, but you know,
Yeah.
he's really on the retreat a lot, and he's very elusive, but he doesn't put he doesn't put himself back in the spot. He doesn't like stay in the pocket. He doesn't come back into the pocket and stay there, you know, to give you to make you miss and then hit you
The
back.
Canelo fight was
Makes you miss
perfect
it.
example of what Floyd can do.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. Mayweather doesn't care. Like, yeah, you know, the sad thing is that Mayweather knows what he can do. We know what he can do. He just doesn't care to impress us. You know, even with this last fight, he doesn't care. He's even said, you know, you don't have to buy my pay-per-view. You know, I'm gonna be good still. You know, like he really doesn't care what the fans think. He's just there to get the win and make the money. And you know, and in that sense, I think that that's exactly what he set out to do in the Pacquiao fight. And that's exactly what he did do. You know, he didn't take chances like he planned. You know, he didn't get hurt
Yeah.
like he planned. You know, and it went his way. And you know, with Pacquiao, I think Pacquiao planned to hurt Mayweather. Pacquiao planned to make an exciting fight,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
he couldn't do either of those. And because he didn't do what he set out to do, I think it was Mayweather's fight.
I think Manny would have won if you know during the rounds between the rounds, like you know when they drink water and stuff, he should have
Yeah.
had salt water. Salt water instead.
You should splash some water on his face, right?
Or
But
he
all I
needed
can say though,
The sea
all I
thing
can
is
say is
wet. Aquaman is wet.
his mom's voodoo wasn't working that night, man.
Oh yeah, they didn't show the footage. I was looking forward to seeing his
Man, you
mom
guys are
doing
talking
voodoo
nonsense
shit.
right now. You know what, man? You guys are really taking away a lot of credit from Manny Pacquiao. That man was doing some amazing.
No.
Hold
Hey
on,
Ryan,
hold on a
all I
second.
can say, man,
His
all I can say,
His
48
defense was better than Mayweather's that night. He was slipping punches.
Yeah.
He was
48
he was
He didn't-
doing.
Listen,
What?
honestly, in my opinion, neither of them fought a good fight. But I think that they did fight to the, you know, I think Pacquiao fought to the best of his ability. I don't think that Mayweather fought to the best of his ability though, and that's the only reason I gave it to Mayweather's, because I think that if Mayweather wanted to, he could have done even more. He could
But he
have went
didn't.
out. Exactly, he didn't. He didn't. But
He could have went out, but then that would have
but I
enabled Pacquiao to come in.
I think Pacquiao tried his best and proved that his best wasn't good enough. Whereas with Mayweather, his average fighting was just good enough to make it a decent
The
fight.
thing is that
I believe if it wasn't in
what
Las
we didn't-
Vegas, Pacquiao if these were two different fighters that nobody knew,
Yes.
I believe Pacquiao would have won. Because, yeah, none of them did enough,
Definitely.
but if you're a judge and you have to score a winner, then if you don't know either guy, if you don't know Mayweather, you don't know Pacquiao, you're gonna give it to Pacquiao. You're gonna look at it unbiased.
Any rounds that I think
and
was
see
a
what the
draw, I
work
pass it to
ethic
Floyd.
He was effective, a lot more effective than Mayweather. He landed the cleaner punches. Mayweather was missing a lot. He kept throwing punches out there. His jab was always just hanging out there. You know, he wasn't landing with it either. Like, that doesn't count as a punch. And those slappy punches, those don't count. You know, those check hooks that was landing on the back of Pacquiao's head, those don't count. You can't. That's not a target zone. That's illegal.
I think I honestly, you know, I agree. I don't think that either of them were very effective. But again, I gave it to Mayweather. I could see how you could give it to Pacquiao. I wouldn't disagree. But in my opinion,
I can see how anybody could give it to Mayweather, honestly, too. You know, I'm not gonna take like this fight was so close. You know,
in my opinion, it's just, you know, the Mayweather fight, the way it came down to it for me, I think that Mayweather, you know, was doing it half-assed. He really did a half-assed job, but that's what kind of got me, was that it was like, wow, you know, even his half-assedness is enough to keep Pacquiao off of him, whereas Pacquiao's trying his heart out and can't really do much. And you know, not that Mayweather was doing much either, but it's just like Mayweather only didn't do much because he didn't want to do much, whereas Pacquiao couldn't do much. You know,
I have to disagree with that. I don't think Pacquiao put in his best effort. I really don't.
He did. I think Pacquiao always put in his best effort.
We've seen the way he's fought. You know, even he just wasn't attacking as much as he usually does. And I don't want to hear Mayweather downplays your ability. No. This was not the case.
I think
Pacquiao wanted, he could have kept throwing a barrage of punches, and he wasn't doing it. He backed off, and we've never seen Pacquiao do that.
Yeah,
never. I don't care if he's missing punches, whatever. He's still gonna come at you.
Yeah, I don't know why he backed off, to be honest.
Do you believe the injury?
That's why I found his shoulder injury thing kind of like, it's quite plausible.
You know, part of me believes that it's true, but part of me believes that like when I was watching the rewatch, when I was rewatching it, I didn't see him injured. You know, and like when he went back to the corner, I didn't really see him injured. I did see the red, you know, marking on his shoulder. You know, I did see him back off, which could obviously be a clue to his injury, but I didn't see him wincing in pain. I didn't see him stop throwing punches with that arm.
He looked like he was throwing some hell of a punches to me.
He didn't look like he was throwing hell of a punches with that arm, but he was throwing punches with that arm, and you know, but it just wasn't often, and I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really see truly. Like if he didn't come out and tell me, oh, I have a shoulder injury, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, I mean, like I had the same shoulder injury as Pac, but mine is more of like a sprained shoulder. But it hurts every time I lift it up. But you can still jab, you can still throw hooks, but it just hurts. It just hurts like shit.
You know, even if he did have an injury, I just don't think it was that bad.
It's not enough. I mean, it's not enough of an excuse.
I think Bob Arum and all of them talked, and you know, they know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
people think that Pac is stupid or something, but he's not.
Do you guys want to see a rematch between Pacquiao and Mayweather?
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't have a sucker for that.
Just for the sake of it, to be honest, I just, you know, like to have an event, you know what I mean? I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I honestly wouldn't advise it for Pacquiao at this point in his career. I don't think he needs that fight anymore. You know, I said the same thing about Marquez. When Marquez knocked Pacquiao out, I wrote an article. I wrote that in my hopes, I really hoped that Marquez would retire at that moment and ride off in the sunset and just on that huge win, and he would be known forever as a legend. But what did he do? He came back to fight Bradley for peanuts.
You know what that reminds me of? Is like when you play video games with your friend, and let's say I'm beating you the whole time, right? I beat you 4 times, and then keep asking me for a rematch, and I keep giving it to you, and then finally you beat me, and you give me no rematch to coming back and beat you again. You know, you
Well,
run with the wind.
but
exactly.
it just they didn't need the fifth fight. They didn't need it, and Marquez was old. If I'm Marquez's trainer, it's like, listen, you've been ignored your whole career. Like, you don't need to do this to yourself. You don't need to risk losing, which is exactly what happened. He came back and he lost, and it's like now, if he had retired at that moment, his status was huge. It still is huge, but now it's like it's not that same wow factor that he would have left us with, because if he had retired at that moment, it would have been like that would have been a great cap on the man's career. And the sad thing about every boxer is when they should get out of the game, they don't. They always come back for that one more fight, and then they lose, and it's like it was just us as fans being selfish and asking them to come back for one more. And that may happen with Mayweather. Mayweather could have retired after beating Pacquiao. That would have been great. Now imagine he comes back for this last fight and loses to Berto. It's just gonna be like, wow, you should have just retired when you had the chance, man.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, man. Like, why do these fighters keep fighting when they know they're not in prime anymore? Like, is it the money, or is it like
That's all they
like,
know, man.
fighting, or
If you don't have an education, if you don't have opportunities in that sense, if that's all you know, a lot of these guys, they don't have an education past 8th or ninth grade, and
yeah, that's true.
what
Because
do you do? What do you do with your
that
life
was
at that point?
So I was thinking, man, if Pacquiao retired after the Margarita fight, he just won his eighth title. I think people were considering him like one of the greats. Bert Sugar had him in the top 20 at the time,
After
and
the Cotto fight, I had him better than Mayweather at
there
that
you
point.
go. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like if they retired, during their peak, um, like I said, after the Margarita fight, and it was widely considered as Mayweather was ducking Pacquiao at the time. And if he retired that time, like people would still be saying Mayweather ducked Pacquiao up to this day. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Or,
It would have been better for Pacquiao's career if he had not fought Mayweather. It would have been
yeah,
better.
yeah,
But
and
it doesn't matter.
same goes to Roy Jones. Like if he retired after winning the heavyweight title,
Exactly.
if he didn't fight Tarver, and if he didn't get knocked out, like people would consider Roy Jones probably top 10 of all time. You know what I mean?
He would have been
Um,
top 3 all time.
there you go. There you
He
go.
might
But
have
then you
even been
wouldn't
number
want
1.
someone to say like, "Oh, Roy is the best," but we wouldn't have known anything if he didn't fight Tarver.
No, he
And
was
then
already.
that's gonna be a what if.
But
The thing about
I don't think the
Pacquiao I
Tarver
like is that
loss I don't think the Tarver loss takes away from how good Roy Jones was at
yeah,
one time.
definitely not.
The
That's the
same way
same
that,
thing
like,
with
look,
Pacquiao.
and the same thing with Mike Tyson. Look, when Mike Tyson, the 28, 29-year-old Mike Tyson was not nearly as good as the 20-year-old Mike Tyson, the pre-Buster Douglas Mike Tyson.
Yeah, it
And
was the. It was
you could say that Buster Douglas really exposed Mike Tyson. I don't think that's the case. I just
No.
think it was a different version of Mike Tyson, a
yeah
Mike
because
Tyson that wasn't motivated, that didn't love the sport anymore.
yeah he didn't train for that fight for the Douglas. Another thing, but that because me and Victor were reading the book. He had a choice. He could have fought Riddick, but Don King instead cherry picked Douglas,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the cherry picking went wrong, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that he was actually scheduled to fight Holyfield, too, I believe, until I think that's when Holyfield lost to Bo, if I'm not mistaken. And then right after that, Tyson went to prison shortly after the Douglas loss. So we'll never really get to see the real, like we see Mike Tyson when he was young, and then we see Mike Tyson when he was old. But imagine what he would have been like if he hadn't gone to prison. That would have
He
been
was
a hell of,
a he was a
that would have been a scary man.
he
Do
was
you
a
guys
portrait
think that Tyson is gifted, or do you think that Tyson is a really hard worker? Like he really, really trained. Like,
I think it was a combination of both. He was naturally gifted, and he trained his ass off when he was young.
but
You know,
as in naturally gifted, as in what way though? Because
I
I'm
mean,
not
that
sure.
man when he was 12 years old, they say it took several grown men just to restrain him when he was in a correctional facility. You know, when
In
I
the
was
book,
12
he
years
said
old, I don't
at
think there was
12 years old he was fighting kids like 16 years old. and
Yeah.
he don't even know how to fight back then.
And he was just gifted with, I mean, that man's speed just for a heavyweight. I don't, yeah, you can say Ali was fast, but they had different type of speed.
No,
Tyson was able to
yeah,
just pull out combinations like just a machine gun, and that, in terms of pure combination speed, I think Tyson is one of the fastest, if not the fastest heavyweight of all time.
Yeah.
I think, Ali was a very agile heavyweight. He could flick out a jab like lightning, but he never really threw any body punches. He never really threw punches and bunch. He did when he got you against the ropes. He liked to flurry on you. But he was never the type of, really crazy combination, creative punching that Tyson had. Tyson had every punch in the book. Ali was just more of a straights kind of guy, straight down the pipe.
Mm.
Like have you ever seen Ali really land a good right hook? That's a very rare punch in boxing is a right hook.
the
Mm.
thing is, Ali has really long arms.
He did.
It's
And
hard
Ali
to
was a
land
really
the right
tall
hook.
Who
man
do
at
you
that time.
who do you guys Jordan, who do you think won the first fight between Ali and Frazier?
Absolutely Frazier.
Yeah, I seen it once. I thought Frazier won.
And you know what?
Watching, I scored it, and
I've never
Huh?
scored it. Watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it was a really close fight, and I think that knockdown is really what sort of solidified it, because in the next round, it was fresh in Joe's mind, and he was coming for the kill, and when you drop somebody, that really, that's what bugs me about some fighters. They get too cautious. They drop somebody and then they don't go in for the
Yeah,
kill.
yeah.
I think that when in that moment, you've got about 10 seconds to finish that guy off before he gets his head together. Because in that 10, if you've ever been dropped, that 10 seconds, you don't even know you got dropped. You just get up because it's instinct. So if somebody runs at you and just starts swinging on you, you're not in the right state of mind. The ref is 9 out of 10 times the ref will stop the fight. If a guy gets dropped, gets up, and then gets flurried on against the ropes, the ref is going to stop the fight usually. That's protocol. That's what I
The
would
thing
do.
is like what bugs me more is like all the body shots, like Amir Khan, he dropped Maidana with a body shot, and then he fucking go for the head. He was head hunting for the next 15 seconds after Maidana got up. It's like, oh, it really pissed me off.
Yeah, me too. I thought Khan could have potentially stopped Maidana, but you know what? Victor Ortiz did the same thing. He dropped Maidana,
That was
and uh,
Yeah,
and
fucking Ortiz.
Maidana got up and fucked him up.
that
If,
was
You
if
know,
only if only he went for the body, he wouldn't have quit.
I
man,
don't.
Keith Thurman took a good body shot.
He did. I thought Thurman was done. Honestly, a lot
I
of
thought he was
fighters would
done
have been
too.
done
Like
from
that's
that.
why, I don't understand how people discredit him in that fight because he ate a fucking crazy ass body shot and survived. Didn't go down
Mm.
and went on to win the fight. Like I
Mm.
don't,
That,
I can't.
that's true, but it's just the quality of fighter. It's the quality of fighter. I think that really made it kind of lesser because Luis Collazo is a guy that lost to an old Shane Mosley. In what 2006, I think 2007. So back then Luis Collazo was considered washed up. The only reason Luis Collazo has even kept himself relevant was because he almost beat Andre Berto, and he did beat Victor Ortiz. But other than that, on paper, there's really no reason that Luis Collazo should have been able to stay in there with someone like Keith Thurman.
I mean,
You know,
well,
I think that Keith Thurman is a really good fighter. I just think that Keith Thurman needs to find his identity because I think he's confused about himself, about his own style. Some
Yeah,
nights he
yeah.
wants to be a brawler, other nights he just wants to run like Mayweather. And you
kind of
gotta you,
think that he's a complete fighter, and it doesn't really seem to be fitting him.
exactly.
What's
Some guys they're just made to be power punchers. Some guys they're just made to be speedsters.
What do
You
you
know,
think he's better at?
I honestly believe that he would. I would like to see him fight like a Marquez, an aggressive boxer. A boxer that's coming forward but look with a tight defense but looking to throw bombs. You know, I think that would be his best style. You know, I don't think he's good on the back foot. He keeps trying to retreat and throw punches while retreating, and that's just, he doesn't get enough leverage on those. You know, I think when he's coming forward is when he's doing his best. But the thing is, when he comes forward, he gets hurt. So I think that he needs to tighten up his defense. I think he should get with somebody like Virgil Hunter. Let Virgil Hunter teach him how to stalk aggressively, somewhat the way that Andre Ward does. You know, teach him that kind of style of fighting, and I think he could be tough. I think he could be a challenge for anybody.
Yeah, another fighter that I want to see some change in the corner is Adrian Broner.
Absolutely, 100%. Adrian Broner needs someone like, I would say, honestly, someone like Teddy Atlas. Get that man up, get that man working, you know, and
Remember
get him
that?
motivated.
Remember that Holyfield?
Yeah.
Michael.
That was, I
Like
think
doing
that's
the big,
something that he
like
needs.
doing a win this, you know, like it was like a movie type of fucking speech right there.
Yeah, and you know, I think that Adrian Broner could be a great fighter if he wanted to. Not, you know what he wants to? He wants to be. He's just not trying enough. You know, you got to try. Anybody can want. You know, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not gonna be unless I try. You know, so I think that Adrian Broner, you know, he's got all the talent in the world. He's just a lazy kid, a lazy clown is what he is.
Like fucking Chavez, man. Chavez Jr., what a disgrace. Guys like this, man, are the ones who deserve all the hate in the world because that's, you know, I don't understand how people hate him. Like, I understand why people hate Mayweather. Just like, they discredit him to the point where nothing's good. His worst ethic.
Yeah.
All his.
They're like,
They don't give a fuck.
what really gets me is like the moment they say Mayweather's a bum. I'm like, fuck, you don't know shit on boxing if you think Mayweather's a bum. He's not a bum. I mean, he's not the best ever, but he's not a bum.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can sit there and tell me Mayweather deserves no credit whatsoever, you're not a real boxing fan. You're just a fanboy.
If you can beat the fighters that Mayweather beats, then you can call him a bum. You can't even fucking beat one guy that he beats, and I don't care what weight class are you at, and you're a fan and you can't beat them, you have no rights to call someone a bum. Even the guys Deontay Wilder beat, I wouldn't call them a bum.
Nah.
They will kick my ass.
That's it. That's it. So, do you guys watch a lot of Roman Gonzalez about the flyweights?
I don't watch
it's
enough of
fucking
him.
good, man.
The only fight I watched was against the last guy. What was his name?
What's this?
The last fight that he fought.
Edgar Sosa? Yeah, he was in the Golovkin undercard.
Yeah. That was a good fight.
Yeah, but Sosa was a bit over the hill. But yeah, it was a good fight. I'm so excited about this fight, man. Gonzalez Villoria. I think this gonna be.
That's gonna be a good.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be a fun fight. I was always sad about Villoria.
We got
career.
2 fights.
I think his career could have been so much better. He had so much talent. It's such a shame he lost the fights that he lost.
Not enough exposure, I think.
Yeah, he had so many ups and downs in his career, man. But one thing though, I thought he beat Estrada. It was a split decision over win for Estrada, but I thought Villoria did enough to at least get a rematch, you know. But he didn't get a rematch, you know. I think Villoria's a great fighter. I think
he's a real explosive fighter. You know, he's quick and he's powerful, and those guys usually do good. I think that he lacks the focus and he gets caught.
Yeah. What I love to do for Gonzalez to do is if he wins this fight, either unify with I'm Not Wrong, who's a bigger guy than him, who's a better boxer. I mean, not better boxer than him, but he's a good boxer, and he's a dirty fighter as well. He could make it rough for Gonzalez. Either that, or unify with Estrada, who he already beat at 108, or move up to 115, where there's a lot of fights for him. There's Naoya Inoue, who's the prodigy of Japan, Carlos Cuadras, Hispanic fighter. I think there's a lot of good fights at him at 115, but it'll be hard for him because he's already come up from three weight classes from minimum weight to junior flyweight, now flyweight. So it'll be his fourth division, and if he does that, and you have to give a lot of credit to Gonzalez if he does that.
Do you
You
think he's
know,
gonna pass Mayweather's record?
What's that?
Do you think he'll pass Mayweather's record?
The 48. Yeah, I mean he's already like 42, 43. I mean
How
he's got like 40 wins already, 42, something like that.
how old is?
I think he has 44.
Yeah, so he's like 28 or 29.
Oh yeah. If he keeps going like this, he'll definitely pass it. No problem.
Yeah, and I don't think it's records got anything to do with it. To be honest, like a lot of people put too much like talk about the records like Rocky Marciano's record, but I don't think it's got anything to do with
You know,
it.
it's fun. It's fun for the sport to put emphasis on that. Why not? Why not have a go? You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's something to look forward
Wow.
to. It's a trophy.
I'm watching this. I'm rewatching this. The highlights from that. You guys made me think about it again. That James Kirkland Glenn Tapia fight. Man, this thing is just. I don't even know if I can watch it. You guys ever seen that fight?
No.
If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor. And it's just a mugging, man. I feel so bad because I really like Glenn Tapia. I really thought he was going to be a great fighter, and he was ruined after this fight. He's never been the same. He was undefeated, and it's sad to see such a young guy take such a beating like that.
Mm.
But if you guys haven't seen it, you guys definitely should check out James Kirkland versus Glenn Tapia. One of the most fun, exciting fights I've seen in the last 10 years.
Mm.
For every second that it went, it was brutal. Huh?
No, I'll definitely check that out though. I like rewatching fights lately.
Yeah, it happened. It didn't happen too long ago. I think it happened maybe right before he fought Canelo, before Kirkland fought Canelo, I think it was. But it was one of the most impressive just beatings I've seen in a long time. I mean, there was not much skill in the fight, but just the fact that any human being could take that kind of punishment or deliver that kind of punishment was just I wouldn't want to be either of those guys that night.
Mm.
But anyways, guys, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go finish some homework. But it was good talking to you guys again. Maybe if you guys are doing anything tomorrow, maybe we can do this again tomorrow. Watch the fights or something.
Yeah, we're gonna do this during the Mosley, forget about that. But the Mares and Santa Cruz fight.
What are your predictions, guys? Predictions.
I'm gonna go with a Santa Cruz. I'd say I can't see either of them. I can't see it going the distance unless they give each other too much respect. It could. That's the problem with when these guys fight each other sometimes, that they give each other too much respect. Look at Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matisse. That was supposed to be a fireworks fight between two brawlers, but they respected each other too much, and it wasn't really the kind of action we were looking for. So I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope they come at each other the way that Cotto and Margarito went at each other. It could look like that. It could look like a Margarito Cotto all over again.
So you're going for a Santa Cruz knockout?
I think if there is going to be a knockout, I think it's Santa Cruz. I'd say 8th or 9th round, he starts to give in a little too much punishment. Santa Cruz likes to throw a lot of punches, and he's accurate with them, same way that Margarito does. So he's a very overwhelming type of fighter, and we've already seen Mares get overwhelmed. So I don't know. It could be interesting. I think I'll give it to Santa Cruz in this one.
I think that's pretty much my prediction also. Let me just add that Leo Santa Cruz has a lot to fight for. I think it's his brother has a disease. And that's just right there. That's a lot of motivation. Things like that. And also, he has an undefeated record. I know he wants to keep that O. That's his money maker. Because nowadays, zeros are money makers. Plain and simple. That's the business now. And this fight is long overdue. There's got to be something that you want to prove at this point. With a person you've been mentioned with, and that you really want to go out there and beat this person that everybody's been saying can beat you. So, but anyways, yeah, I'm going with Leo Santa Cruz. He
I
throws
think
way too many punches. He's nonstop, come forward. So, I mean, so is Mars, but I think the volume of punches just outworks Mars.
yeah, same here, man. I got Leo Santa Cruz by decision, man. I think he punches. I think he throws a lot of punches, and I don't think Mars is the same person as he once was after the since the Gonzalez knockout. He has stamina problems. So yeah, I got Santa Cruz decision.
Well, while we're talking about that, what about the Mosley-Mayorga fight?
Mostly by knockout, mate. Mostly
Mosley,
because
Mosley is gonna retire. My lord.
I got mostly
Yeah,
by knockout because
yeah.
Mayorga's like he's unhealthy and he's like fat as hell. So I don't think he'll last 12 rounds.
I think I completely agree. I think that in every aspect, Mosley has the physical advantage. The only thing that worries me is that, like I said before, Mosley's been looking like he's been on the verge of quitting in his last couple of fights. And if Mayorga can bring any sort of A game, he might be able to push an old Mosley into feeling that sort of quitting feeling again. And if Mayorga can put enough pressure to make Mosley question himself and overwhelm him, I wouldn't be surprised if you see it the other way. Because the first fight it wasn't necessarily a very close fight, but Mayorga had his moments. And if you
Mm.
can have your moments now against an old Mosley, you might be able to stop him. So I think honestly it's going to be a fun fight. I wouldn't mind watching it. I probably will too, honestly.
He's trying to sell the fight, man. Maybe he's getting paid by mostly.
The
I'm on
fights are on at
payroll.
the same time, right?
What's
I'm
that?
not probably. Most of these fights happen at night, but even if I don't watch it live, I'll catch the fight. I'll catch
Yeah,
it. It should be.
I'm not
I think
paying.
it'll be an interesting fight. I don't think it goes the distance only because I don't think either man is capable of going the distance. You know, so I think they're just both so old and overweight at this point that one of them is going to get exhausted at some point and give up. That's my prediction. Whoever gets tired first loses.
That's it. Anyway, guys, it's been great talking to you. I know it's
Yes.
late night there.
Just as guys, we will.
All right, gentlemen. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.
All right, guys. Later.